Hey guys, so the purpose of this video is to help you determine what shade you are in the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation and Concealer. So this is what the listing for the product looks like on the Sephora website. You can see that it is 1 ounce. It is a doe foot style applicator. It retails for $27 and the shade 1 Linen is currently out of stock as of filming, but I'm sure they will restock it before too long. And if you weren't aware of this feature, Sephora lets you put in your email address for an out of stock product and they will notify you when the product comes back. So these are those same shades, just kind of with their numbers and names all listed at the same time. So you can see it goes from 0.5 Breeze, 1 Linen. I don't have a picture here because it was out of stock and I couldn't copy it. And then it skips certain numbers. It skips like number 3. It goes from 6, 6.5, 7, skips number 10 here, and so on. So while that's helpful to have kind of a numbering system, it's not really a very exact or, if you will, scientific method of determining your shade. And the names themselves aren't necessarily more helpful. You might guess that shade number 8, Golden Neutral, is perhaps more golden, and the same with shade 24, which is called Golden, but you're not necessarily able to determine what shade might be the best match for you. So a good way to determine what shade will be a good match is to use the Pantone Sephora system. It's a system that Sephora developed with Pantone, and they basically developed a shade system that will identify a lot of different skin tones in terms of how light or how dark, and also in terms of how yellow or how cool toned those shades are. So here's the same chart that I have annotated. I've kind of drawn a line here down the middle, which is basically an imaginary line of the most neutral of the shade options. So the closer the shade is to the line, the more neutral it will be. The farther away the shade is, either the more yellow or the more golden or the more cool toned on this side. And obviously the lighter shades are up here and the darker shades are down at the bottom. And I will note, for example, that it's not a complete rectangle here. There are some shades that are missing. So for example, there is no 1R01. It starts off at 1R02, and it doesn't necessarily go all the way out to either the left or the right. So for example, I've called out this shade here, which is 3Y04, and that shade is 3 from the middle, so it's on a scale from 1 to 5, it's kind of in the middle in terms of how golden it is. And it's also the 4th darkest from light to dark. So it starts off at 3Y01, and then if you go down 4, it is 3Y04. So it's kind of like playing chess or Battleship or something where you can kind of identify your number based on how far away and how far from the top it is. So at this point, I will insert some footage I took on the Sephora website to help you navigate the Color IQ system there and to help you identify what your shade might be. Hey guys, so I'm going to show you how to use the Color IQ tool on the Sephora website to identify your shade and to find good product matches for that shade. So this is the Sephora homepage, and if you go up to the Makeup tab and then over to Color IQ Get Matched, this is the page that'll kind of explain what the Color IQ system is, how it works, and how you can use it to find good product matches. So if you go to See the Shade Library, this is the same picture that I included in the PowerPoint. It's a little bit bigger obviously, but You can see it starts off the lightest shades down up here, the darker shades down here, and then the more golden or yellow toned over here, and the more red toned or cool toned on this side. Okay. So this is the device that they'll use in store to identify what your color IQ number is. They basically hold it up to your face in a few different locations, take a picture somehow, and identify what your number is. And then if you are matched in store, you can save the number to your profile so that you don't have to remember what that number is, or just to make it a little bit easier for yourself. So this is where you can identify the concealers and foundations that match that specific color IQ number. So I happen to know that my shade number is 1R03. So I put that in and it shows me all the products that are currently matched to that color IQ number. This isn't necessarily exhaustive of all the products that Sephora carries, but to the extent they have been matched, they will show up here. So for example, I know this Clinique Super Balanced Makeup Foundation, I was matched at a Clinique counter, and I was matched to the color Breeze. So it shows me here the color IQ icon, and also says that Breeze is a skin tone match for 1R03. So back to this main page here. But say there's a product that you want to try that doesn't show up in this array of products. So you can try to go one shade lighter. So over here it'll show you one shade lighter and one shade darker to the shade that you put in. So the 1R aspect is the same relative level of coolness, but the last number indicates the lightness or darkness of the shade. So if I click on the 1R02, it'll show me the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer. So it shows me that Fair Neutral is a skin tone match for 1R02, so just slightly lighter than my actual skin tone. And for an under eye concealer like this, at least that's how I've been using it, I don't mind going one shade lighter. But say you don't want to go one shade lighter necessarily, you can also try going one shade darker. And here, for example, the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Invisible Cover Stick Foundation shows up, which I have been wanting to try, but I haven't purchased. So that shows you that it is a skin tone match for 1R04. And I'll also show you, this is the product that is the subject of this video. And here the shade Breeze, or 0.5, is a skin tone match for 1R04. And I just wanted to highlight that the same shade name can vary in shade color across different products within the same brand. So if you'll remember, Breeze in the Super Balanced foundation was 1R03, but in this foundation is a shade darker. So that's great if you know your number, but if for some reason you're unable to get to a Sephora store, you can also go back to this page, and if you come all the way down here, it'll allow you to identify what color you might be based on foundations that you already have that you feel are good color matches. So it has a pretty good array of brands here, and we'll just click on Clinique. See, it has all the different products in the Clinique lineup that they have matches for. So if I go to the Clinique Super Balanced Makeup and I know I've been matched to the shade Breeze. I can click on that. It'll bring me back to this page with all the different products that match that specific shade. So I can't show you currently because I'm not signed into my account, but they do have a couple 100 point deluxe samples of the Beyond Perfecting foundation currently. They have the shade 21 Cream Caramel, and they also have the shade 24 Golden. And both of those samples are, I think, like a fifth the size of the full-size foundation, or just about. So it's a pretty generous size sample if you want to try it out. So yeah, so that's the Sephora Pantone Color IQ system on the website. Okay, so as I mentioned, shade 0.5 Breeze is 1R04. So I've circled it here, and as I mentioned, there is no 1R01, but if you can imagine there being one, it would be 4 down from light to dark. It's just 1 over in terms of how cool it is. So that's how they arrived at that number. I did the next one as well. This is 1 Linen, and that corresponds to 2Y03. So this one is 2 shades more warm or yellow toned, but it is also a shade lighter. So that's a good example of how the numbering system that Clinique provides may not give you a really accurate understanding of how light or dark a shade is or whether it will match you. And I did the next one as well. This is 2 Alabaster, and that corresponds to 2R05. In this case, it's 1 shade darker than the 0.5 Breeze, but it is also 1 shade cooler or red toned. So I mapped out all of the shades on this chart just to kind of give you an idea of how they're grouped and how the numbers kind of go back and forth. So I think it's interesting to take any sort of foundation and kind of map the colors like this because you get a sense of what the foundation strengths are. In this case, I think Clinique is known for having much more cool toned or pink toned foundations, not as many yellow options. And you can also kind of see where the clusters are in terms of where they have a lot of shades that are very similar. I'll also note that if, for example, you want an exact match, but there isn't an exact shade dupe for your skin tone, you can kind of see where 2R06, for example, if you mixed equal parts of shade number 2 and shade number 6, hopefully you would come at a color that was at least similar to your skin tone. So I think using this system, it's really helpful just to get a sense of, based on your preferences and based on your skin tone, what foundation shade will be a good match for you. I'll also note that one of the detriments to the Sephora website is they only show you a shade lighter and a shade darker to what number you put in. So if, for example, you were shade 1Y07, so pretty neutral but not entirely cool toned and, I don't know, maybe about halfway between light and dark, there is a shade lighter that you could go with, but maybe you wanted the same depth of shade, you just wanted a different tone, you could try 1R07 or shade number 7 just to give that a try. So I think this allows you to kind of see where the different shades are and to get a really good idea of what you're getting. So to make things a little easier, I've taken the Color IQ numbers and matched them up with the different Clinique shade names. And I will note, for example, this neutral shade here is maybe not as neutral as Clinique would suggest because this is a 3R shade, so it's 3 to the left of that neutral color line. However, this golden neutral shade is pretty golden, maybe not so neutral. This golden shade is a little bit more neutral than maybe the golden neutral, but it is much darker. So that's it, guys. I hope you found that helpful, and if you'd like to see similar videos from me in the future, please like and subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.